joining in tonight. Appreciate it. All right. So, don't be afraid to look at the camera at any point. We're good. You don't have to stare at it, but we're good.
Yeah.
So this is it. So everybody, I wanted to basically kind of kick this off. It's the bar is open. Last call, and basically the last call is where I want to bring in folks and family members or friends or whomever, even people I don't know, just to talk about their extraordinary life experiences and people that have had like a pretty amazing impact on the communities that we all live in, and ultimately how they've changed kind of the way things have gone. So first guest tonight, thank you very much, Albert Castro is with us. And thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome.
Thank you. So some of you guys probably already know Albert. Al, right?
Yeah.
He's my father-in-law, so I'm pretty lucky to have Al as my father-in-law. There's some pretty fucking funny things. You're allowed to swear on this, by the way. So this is called The Bar is Open, so you can say cheers. Just cheers it. Cool. We are supposed to drink, so if we don't drink, Beth will give me shit. But really, it's, again, this is an environment where you're just completely free to talk and have fun and hang out and shoot the shit, right? But I want to ultimately bring in people that can talk about what they've done, what they've contributed, and you've contributed a considerable amount to a whole ton of, when we talk about law enforcement, right?
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me. When we talk about law enforcement, it's, going back a long ways. So I'm going to give you a quick intro to how I met Albert. So if you guys know Beth, obviously, from the Bars Open with Beth and Greg, so Beth didn't want me to necessarily meet you guys yet at that point, right? And it was funny because, I lived around the corner from her at that point, right?
Right.
I lived kind of maybe a couple streets over at that point, but we just kind of started dating and doing that sort of things. And she called me and asked me, hey, can you come over and help us unload some stuff out of my dad's truck? And this is back in 2005, I think it was. So 15 years ago. And it was funny because I was like, okay, sure. Yeah, no problem. I'll be right over. No problem. Right. Little did I know that you'd fallen off the back of your fucking truck and split the living shit out of your head.
Busted my butt.
Yep.
And hit the building,
the
edge
building,
of,
right.
Yeah.
And how many staples did you have in your
16.
head? 16 staples in the back of your head. But the funny part, that's okay, that's just shit happens, right? But the funny part was when I met him, it was, I've had a gun to my head and I've had knives in my side and all of these things, and I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? He's like, the nurse came after me with a needle, and I was like, no. And I was like, what? Oh, no. And then I left after that, and I didn't know what the hell. I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, I had this phobia about needles.
Evidently, yeah. But that was my intro to Al Castro at that point, and Iris Castro at that point. It was pretty entertaining. So really, like I said, we'll get into some of your background, and we'll kind of talk about family through it and kind of some of the history. And this is going to be broken up into a few different episodes, really, right? Because you've had such a long and kind of an interesting career.
Very much so. To this day, I still remember a lot of things that happened while I was working. So,
right.
Yeah.
So we've got some cool stories. He's definitely got some amazing stories. And some of the people that have had an opportunity to chat with you have heard some of those stories. And you've got some obviously amazing partners and friends that we'll get into as we kind of go through this.
Yeah.
So again, thanks for joining and hanging out. And thanks everybody for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. So again, this is The Bar is Open, last call. So this is a little bit different kind of thing that I'm working on. You'll notice that Beth is not in the room. It's kind of a me thing. So, all right. So we'll kick it off. Appreciate, again, you being here. Background, thanks for coming. Background, where are you from originally?
Brownsville, Texas.
Which, if people don't know where that is.
It's a very tip of South Texas.
So, all the way
down. That's there's a fight between one of the Florida cities and Brownsville, the claiming to be the southmost city in the United States.
Nice.
So
you were born and raised there?
Born and raised there. And I haven't been back. I moved to San Antonio, so.
Yeah, that's fair. That's cool. Yeah. No worries there. Yeah, that's cool. So what was it like growing up in Brownsville?
It was fun. We had a lot of fun growing up because I had a large family.
Yeah.
It was 7 of us. 6 of us were all Marines.
Yep. That's awesome.
So back then, we played outside. And most of the dark came by. And we used to help my grandfather, who was a master plumber.
Yeah.
And he had chickens, and he would tell us to get the eggs in, and we'd pick anywhere from 5 to 6 to 7 dozen eggs every day.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But we always kept at least a half a dozen,
just for you guys,
for us to do an egg war with the kids at the next block who also had chickens. So it was
fun. It was a cool place to grow up. I know. Used to ride around on horseback and.
Yeah, in fact, all of us, well, the older ones, we all had horses.
Yeah.
And my horse's name was Billy.
Billy?
Yeah.
Okay. Why'd you name him Billy?
It was a common name, and it was easy to remember. And he answered to it. Every time I would say Billy, he would turn
around and look at you.
And look at me like, what? You know? But Billy committed suicide.
Okay, we can't just fucking end on that. What do you mean? How did he commit suicide? How does a horse commit suicide?
We had orange trees, and one orange tree had rotted out, and it was knocked over.
Yeah.
My dad took away, but it left a jagged stump. And
you run into it?
No, he laid down on top of it. And
he fucking gored himself?
Yes, and when I came home, I saw what was happening, and his guts were all hanging.
Oh, shit. Was he up standing or was he dead?
No, he was standing up, and his guts were hanging down. And I told Dad, something's wrong. He's got all those things coming out of his stomach.
Shit.
So my dad says, yeah, I see what's going on.
And so put him down.
Get me my gun. And
I'm like, well, how's that going to fix it?
That's my horse.
Yeah.
And he went up and
popped him in the head. Shit.
And that was the end of my horse.
Did you ever get another one after that?
No.
Just kept to the chickens.
I used to, use my brother's horses.
You lived in the fucking Wild West is where you lived.
Yeah. It was on the edge of the city. We were right outside the city limits.
Okay.
So we had chickens, we had horses, we had goats.
Yeah.
And one funny story I'll never forget is Ernie, my brother, who's 4th down the line.
Okay.
Needed some money, and he was racing with other kids in the neighborhood that
racing
had horses.
Okay.
Racing horses. And it was a hot summer, and he needed at least $2, and it would be 50 cents a race if whoever won.
Okay.
Every race. So on his 3rd race, I told him, I came up and said, Ernie, that horse looks like it's thirsty, and he's all sweaty. You better slow down and go give him some water. So Ernie gets on the horse and starts walking up a slight hill. The horse stopped and dropped dead.
Oh, shit. Ernie just died on the spot?
Ernie was on top of it.
Oh, shit.
And he couldn't get his leg out. So we're all laughing. And he says, it's no laughing matter. Get me out of here. So
what'd you do with the horse? Just leave it?
No. It gets stored away. There was a place that would buy dead animals and things because he had lions. He supplied lions to the circuses.
Okay.
So that's where my Billy went, and so did Ernest.
Interesting. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So that's fun. So when you were in Brownsville, where did you, like your family, you said you had 7 in your family. So you had 4 brothers and 1 sister?
No.
Or what was it?
It was 6 brothers and 1 sister.
6 brothers. Okay. So 7 siblings and then your parents.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. it was fun growing up.
It's a big family.
Yeah, and my dad was quite a guy. He always came back with stuff like one night at 1:30 in the morning. He comes in and I hear this blaring, and it's a goat.
He's got a goat, just a random animal.
A baby goat. I says, what? So we kind of raised that baby goat.
Yeah.
Gave him milk in bottles.
Yeah.
And became a pet.
Yeah.
So the poor thing, my mom was a hardworking lady.
Yeah.
She would bake cakes and pies for different people that were more affluent than we were.
Okay.
And
it was like what she do, because they owned a restaurant.
Yeah.
We'll get into that in here in a
yeah,
second.
they owned a restaurant, and she was a heck of a cook.
Okay.
Well, she had worked on the thing that you put together by pieces. What do you call it? Like a blanket.
Oh, yeah, like I know what you're talking about. A quilt.
A quilt.
She was a quilter.
She worked on that quilt for a year.
Okay.
And she finally finished it, washed it, and hung it up. By this time, the baby goat had grown into a large goat.
Okay.
So that afternoon, after playing and going around and kicking around, there's a resaca, which is a waterway.
All right.
We used to go swimming in there, and we came home, and Dad came home. At the time, he was working at the airport, and I asked, what's for supper, Mom? And Dad said, yeah, what's for supper? And she says, goat. And we all looked at each other, goat? Yeah. Find out where, I forgot the name of the goat. What was it? Something like Ruby. I think it was Ruby. Where is she? We're eating Ruby.
Oh, shit.
I said, why? What happened? She says, that SOB ate one corner of my quilt. So I killed it.
Dinner for a month.
I says, well, Mom, how did you kill him? She says, you know your baseball bat?
Oh, she beamed it.
So we had Ruby for supper.
For a few days, probably, because the goat's goat.
Yeah. So he grew up to be a nice pet because he would follow us like a dog. But
that was it for Ruby.
Yeah.
And there's the story of Ruby. So I know, like you said, your parents were restaurateurs, basically, right?
Yeah,
They had
right.
what kind of restaurant was it?
It had a mostly Mexican food and the routine is chicken fry steaks and that kind of thing.
So like home cooking, Southern home cooking.
Mom was a heck of a cook.
That's awesome.
And I was one of the dishwashers.
Yeah. Well, that's where you've learned how to cook all your pico de gallo,
yeah.
picadillo, and all the other stuff, and carne asada.
I like to cook.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're definitely the chef of the family for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So cool. Thanks for sharing that. So how many Marines were in your siblings?
All of us except the youngest one, which was David, my brother.
Okay.
He was also the first one to die.
Six of the seven were all Marines, which is pretty incredible if you think about that. And what year are we talking about?
From 1951 all the way to whenever the last one served.
Yeah. So say if you're spread out over 10 years or something like that.
There was always a Castro in the Marine Corps for about 10, 12 years.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah. And there's a current Castro in the Marine Corps.
There's still one in there right now.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah. So, I mean, just thinking about that, it's like, what made you, so after high school, or during high school rather, you were in football, track, boxing, which we'll get into here in a minute. But what made you start thinking about going into the military or into police work and things like that?
I guess I was about 10 years old, and I saw this Marine come home from the war.
From which war?
From Korea.
Korea, okay.
And I decided that I wanted to be a Marine. I was 10 years old. No, I'll take that back. The Marine had gotten back from World War II.
Okay, so that makes sense.
And then at that point, at which 10 years old, I said, I want to do two things in my life. I'm going to be a Marine and I'm going to be a cop.
Nice.
So it happened.
It just kind of, that was your goal in life.
That was my goal
That's
in
awesome.
life. Yeah.
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's trickled through many of your family members
Yeah.
to have even your children and everything else.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we'll talk about them later on as well.
Yeah,
But that's
'cause,
awesome.
3 of them were in law enforcement.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
You know,
so-
you think about that, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
You know, just the amount of family members that were in the military or in law enforcement, and some of them are still active in law enforcement and stuff
Yeah.
like that. It's really incredible. So when did you meet your wife, Iris?
Okay.
It was in high school, right?
In high school, I was 16 years old.
Okay.
And Brownsville celebrates Friendship Day. They call it Charo Days.
Charo days.
Charo Days every February.
Okay.
So she was in a program at school. They were doing a little bit of Mexico was the title of it.
Okay.
And they would show different dances from different states in Mexico. And she was in one of those dances. And I'm sitting with this buddy of mine by the name of, they called him Chalo,
Okay.
who later became my brother-in-law. But anyway, I was sitting with him, and I says, gosh, that girl there, the third one from the left, that's a beautiful girl. And he goes, watch it. I said, what? It's my sister. So I said, well, can I meet her? Would you introduce me? He said, he did. After she danced and changed into street clothes, she came out, and she goes, how did you like it? She was asking her brother.
Yeah.
And I said, I loved it. You were great.
Yeah.
And she looks, who's this? And Charles says, my best friend. And that was a
That was the
point.
intro at that point.
Yeah. And so we were together all the way till.
Well, before that, we'll go down those lines, but there's a story where you rode up next to her on a horse. Is there a story about that?
Yeah, but she was afraid of horses. She wasn't a horse.
Okay.
But the horse was walking. So when I showed up in a horse,
Yeah.
her horse started to trot a little bit. She said, go, stop it.
So
stop
put it this way. This is what I'm getting at. You guys were on fucking horseback.
Yeah.
This is like,
But yeah. Yeah.
they're just like trotting by each other, and
Yeah.
you guys owned horses at
Yeah.
that point. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like nowadays it's
And,
bicycles and everything else. So
Yeah,
it's pretty amazing.
It was a great. I had a great childhood.
Yeah.
A lot of memories. A lot of things happened. A lot of funny things happened, like egg wars with the guys at the other block. And you didn't
Funny
want to
shit.
get hit with an egg because those eggs we would have anywhere from 2 to 3 dozen eggs, and they were rotten by that time.
Oh shit!
And
So you definitely didn't want to
if
get
you
hit by
got
one.
hit by one, you would smell like. Ooh. So, anyway, that's.
It's good. It's great. Yeah, we'll talk about Iris a whole bunch more. Don't worry. She's definitely the corner. She was one of the cornerstones, if not the cornerstone
life.
of your life and the family.
And the
Absolutely.
family, oh, yeah.
So we will definitely talk about that. But you had mentioned some of the sports you got into in high school.
Yeah,
Football and track and
Yeah, in fact,
boxing's a big one, there's some funny shit about boxing, which
Yeah.
we'll talk about too.
But I was in track, and I was one of the guys in the 440 relay, and I also did the 100-yard dash. I was fairly fast. I never won first place, but I was never
Last.
last. I was always up there second or third.
Nice.
But those days were wonderful. The track team had this one young man by last name of Lopez. He was a farmer.
Okay.
His family owned a farm,
Nice.
but he had never been anywhere other than the farm and school.
Yeah.
And we went to a track meet in McAllen, Texas, which is about 60 miles north of Brownsville, northwest of Brownsville. And the coach says, no Cokes, you're going to drink tea. So
No Coca-Cola, but tea.
so the whole team's there, and they brought out the food, and they brought the tea in a cup, and the kind you dip the bag in it.
Oh, like you make your own fucking
Yeah.
tea? Like who does that anymore? I guess
So I
anymore.
was fixing
I don't know, it's
mine,
weird.
and I look over at Lopez, and he had split
You
the
put
bag
it
in there, and the tea was
Leaves
floating
everywhere.
on there, and he looks around. He says, "Why my tea isn't sinking?" I says, "It won't." So I called the waitress. He says, "Bring him another one." The waitress looked at him. "What are you, a farmer?"
And he's like,
And she goes, yes, I am.
Yeah, exactly.
I have never seen tea like that.
Right, in a tea bag.
Yeah.
But my thought was like, why isn't tea just, I mean, I know you have to make tea, obviously. Like, I'm not dumb. But it's like making your own tea is just kind of a weird thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like Coke, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But you got into boxing when you were in high school.
Yeah, I was in a fight in the school ground.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what caused the fight? Like, what was it, just a shit show? Like, just machismo?
It was lunchtime, and I was sitting there eating my lunch.
Yeah.
And this idiot came up and says, "Can I have a bite?" And I said, "What do you mean have a bite? This is my sandwich."
Right.
So you got any more in that bag? And
I started going through your shit?
Yeah. And so I pushed him. And he said, "Oh, you want to fight?" I says, "Okay." So I put my sandwich down, and we got into it.
Yeah.
But that time, Coach Johnson was a boxing coach, came up, and he sees the fight going on. And I hit the guy so hard on one of the times that he fell. And he goes, "Stop that, stop that. I want to talk to you." I said, "Yes, sir." So, and I told him he started the fight.
Yeah.
And I was a welterweight.
Okay.
147 pounds.
All right.
And that got me into boxing, and I had a string of wins all the way up to state. Became a welterweight champion.
So you were, is that considered like gold? Was that a Golden Gloves kind of state champion? Yeah. So that's a pretty amazing thing, right?
Yeah.
You think about it, like you're boxing, and it was started
fun.
out of a freaking high school, not a disagreement, an asshole bully trying to screw with you, right?
Yeah.
But that's something to think about is like we don't do that. There's no boxing teams and shit anymore. Like you have to go to gyms.
As they now, liberals call it too violent.
Well, I mean, like that's why we have a lot of places that you can go to. We can go to jujitsu. We can go to taekwondo. Right. There's plenty of clubs and stuff we can go to now.
Yeah.
So, where you can learn to stick up for yourself. But it's on the other side of it is, what's the high school going to do or the school going to do if you do stick up for yourself, right?
But the boxing
taught you. What did it teach you? I mean, just
everybody in high school knew me by then.
Right. They know don't fuck with Albert Castro because he's
he can throw hands. Some of them would call me TKO Castro because my first 5 fights I won them by TKOs.
Nice,
right? So they call me TK Castro.
TK Castro.
Yeah,
awesome. So this is a kind of there's a little theme that we're going to get into here in a second about boxing. There's a little loop around here in a minute. Yeah. So after you got out of high school. So you were dating Iris, of course, your wife, your future wife at that point. You decided you were going to go into the Marines first, right?
Right there.
What was the process for you back then? Like, what was the process of going into the Marines back then?
Of course, at the senior prom, we were.
How did you tell Iris?
Huh?
How did you tell Iris?
That's what I'm getting at.
Okay.
So at the senior prom, I says, well, as soon as I graduate, I'm joining the Marine Corps. And she just stopped. We were dancing. She stopped.
Yeah.
You're going to what? I says, I'm going to join the Marine Corps. Said, why? She says, I want to be that. I've been wanting that since I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
She says, well, don't expect me to be sitting down while you're gone. I said, well, you want to break up? And she said, yes. So we broke up at the senior prom.
You broke up at the senior prom?
But
did you break up, or was it kind of like you made up after?
Well, we made up.
Okay.
But so anyway,
she was just like, "Shit, my sweetheart's leaving," kind of thing.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. So pretty soon, graduated in May. Back then, school was ended in May and started in September.
Right.
And so as soon as I graduated, I went to the post office. And I told the Marine Corps recruiter that I wanted to join the Marines. He says, how old are you? I says, I'm 17. He says, well, you need to get permission from your parents.
Okay, because you're under 18, of course. Yeah. Right.
Well, my parents had already left for Chicago. My dad worked for Pan American Airlines, and they had shut it down in the valley.
Okay.
And so they asked whoever wants to transfer with the company, they'll be glad to transfer you. So they transferred to Chicago with Pan American.
Okay, cool.
I stayed behind because of her, of my wife.
Your girlfriend at the time.
So he
They left you at 17 years old.
Yeah. So
Really?
I had to get my grandparents
It's
to
incredible.
sign.
Like, think about that, like, compared now to then.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And I went.
You were an adult already at, like, 17 years old because you could fend for yourself.
And there were 9 of us at the Marine Corps office. And we were all, I got my grandparents to sign for me.
Nice. Okay.
And out of the 9, only 4 of us made it. The other 5 washed out medically.
Through basic or whatever.
Yeah. No.
Or
the physical.
just pre. Oh, okay. Go. Okay. Gotcha.
And so I remember getting on the bus, and lo and behold, in the bus were 5 girls for my senior class.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
And they were all kind of crazy and yelling and laughing and whatnot. And I looked at the guy next to me and I says, "You know those girls, right?" He said, "Yeah, I think I know 2 of them." I says, "Well, all of them. They're all a bunch of crazy girls. That's why they joined the Marines."
Yeah, exactly.
So we got to San Antonio.
Okay. So you went from Brownsville up to San Antonio.
Yeah, in bus.
Right.
But from San Antonio to California was on the train. I had never been on a train.
Oh, shit. Well, I mean, even nowadays, a lot of people haven't been on trains.
And
so
it was interesting, very interesting. And they would take us to the coach where you got served food, but only 5 at a time because there was most of them were sailors.
Okay.
I think there must have been about 25 or 30 of us there, and only about 5 or 6 Marines. All the rest, so they would take 5 at a time to the diner because of the crowd.
Right.
So we got to California, and I'm like lost in this humongous building with all these people.
So you're down at
Los Angeles,
MCRD.
No, in Los
Or
Angeles.
you're in LA at that point. Okay.
And I'm looking around, and holy cow! I've never been in a big city.
Right.
And I'm looking at all these people. Everybody's going 50 miles an hour every which way. I said, these people need to slow down.
It ain't Texas anymore, buddy.
About this
You're
time,
in fucking California.
We hear this yell. "All right, you bunch of craps, get in line." I says, "They're talking to us?" He says, "Yeah, I think they're talking." And he grabs one of them and pushes him and puts him in. "You guys going to get on the train, and we're going to San Diego. And I don't want anybody, blah, blah, blah." He gave us a long
list of shit to not do
do's and don'ts.
Yeah.
And so that's how I ended up going.
Welcome to MCRD.
Yes, sir.
San Diego.
And let me tell you, what a rude awakening it was.
Yeah. You loved it, though.
Oh, I loved it. I would do it again if I could.
I know. Like we were there like a couple of years ago, right?
Lupe, my brother.
Yeah.
When this Afghanistan stuff, or Iraq stuff started, he wanted to go. He went to the recruiting office, wanted to join the Marine. But it says, "Mr.
You're 60, however old." Like, it just doesn't work like that.
You can't.
But I'm willing.
We appreciate that, but you're too old.
Just re-enlist me.
And boy, he was angry. He comes back, he calls me up in the phone. He says, "You know what they told me?" I said, "What?" "That I'm too old. I'm a goddamn Marine. I can kill anybody." Settle down.
Yeah.
You're too old, mijo.
Your knee will go out or something, right?
Yeah.
No, so you went to base training down in
San Diego,
MCRD,
yeah,
right? And then you were stationed. Did you get stationed at Pendleton for a bit?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Combat training
In Pendleton.
But then
what was your MOS there?
I'm sorry?
What was your MOS?
Oh gosh, 0300, I think.
Okay.
Having to do with a rifleman.
Right on.
And but sadly, everybody that was on that training session, it was about 60 some odd of us for training.
Yeah.
And you went through whole kinds of stuff with bullets flying over you. And I don't know if it's true or not, but the DI would say, if you stand up, you're going to die. So stay crawling all the way to the other end. And there was mud and water you had to go through.
Yeah, they're going to try and scare. They want it to be as realistic as possible, right? You're going to war at some point.
Yeah, you know? And I remember
potentially anyway.
I remember one of the things that happened was they took us to this one place, and there were holes everywhere, and you got in a hole, and I says, "What the hell is this for?" You know, what's? Oh, I guess it's like you shoot over the. Well, Nick, we hear the rumbling, and here come tanks, and they They were
literally driving over you.
right, Joe, and I'm going, oh shit, I want to die.
They're just big enough for your ass to fit in,
but
where it doesn't fill in.
only a few of us were not chosen to go to Korea. I was one of the ones picked. No, two of us.
You were
picked.
chosen. So, but okay. So let's get into that real quick. So it's not real quick. This is not a real quick portion.
Yeah,
of
no.
it. So you made it through basic, but before we get into Korea, you were in Camp Pendleton, but you got transferred or stationed up in Whidbey Island. Up in
That's
Seattle,
where everybody
or in
else
Washington.
in that group went to Korea, and I was sent to Whidbey
Okay, so
Island,
that's where you're saying you didn't get selected to go,
No.
and then you went up to
Yeah,
Whidbey. Okay,
no.
I apologize. So tell us about Whidbey Island, because I've been to Whidbey Island,
It's a beautiful
and
island.
it can either be cold as shit,
Yes.
and it's windy, and it's
Always windy, yes.
It's out in the middle of kind of, feels like nowhere. Almost.
Yeah, it was a training base for landing on aircrafts. It was
Right.
planes were coming in and out all day and all night long, and I was an MP, and once every 4 or 5 weeks you would be sent to Seattle to walk patrol with the police.
Yeah, you gotta tell a story about that.
To pick up
The drunkards,
the
drunkard
Marines,
sailors,
Marines that got into trouble,
Yeah.
or sailors.
Yeah.
And so it
Marines
was an
don't get
interesting,
in trouble.
yeah. But that was the first time in my whole life that I ended up getting drunk.
So there's a wine story.
Yes.
Let's hear that.
Yeah.
So what was the name of the wine? So anyway, let's give a little backstory, because this is where it comes down to that all Marines are they're Marines.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it's now or if it was 60 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just a funny ass story, because you end up.
Okay, let me tell you.
Yeah, go for it.
We became friends. I say we, 5 of us or 6 of us became friends with 2 twins
Okay.
that worked in the laundry at the base.
All right.
And one of the times they invited us over to they lived in a trailer because it was their birthday.
Okay.
So
Twin girls, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Twin girls. So,
Okay.
And then they had 2 other girls,
All right.
friends that were there, and us.
And you weren't doing anything, of course, because you had a girlfriend
Yeah.
back
No,
home.
we just went, had a good time.
Right.
And stuff. And I remember them bringing out bottles of wine, and I looked at it. I said, Loganberry, huh? Loganberry. Of all the wines in sale, that is the lowest and cheapest wine that you can find, okay? But I didn't know any better. And
It was the first time you got drunk?
yes.
It was like going to be the
that
first
was
time
the
you got
first
drunk?
time. Yeah, I drank.
You have
till I
beers back in the day, like 1 or 2, and think it was cool kind of thing.
I got to where I was almost cross-eyed, and I said, I better go outside. And I went outside and puked all over the place. And then I needed to lie down, and there's this car on the curb, and I walked up to it. I don't know whose car it was, but I checked. It was open, so I got in the back seat and fell asleep. The next thing I know, the sun's coming up, and I said, holy shit. Luckily, the owner of the car never showed up.
Because it was probably early as shit, and the sun was coming up.
And it was Sunday, so...
Okay, so it wasn't the work day.
Yeah. So I get out of the car, and the whole world's moving. And I'm going, oh, God. So I go into the trailer, and there's one Marine lying on the ground over there. There's another Marine lying on the girl. There's girls are lying over here. I said, everybody wake up. Oh, shut up. You know, do you have any more wine? Jesus. It's all gone.
Drank all the wine.
So
Loganberry wine. So if you guys are interested in,
So I said, well, we got to
I don't
go
even know if they
because
have
we're
that
on the 311 watch
Back on base, yeah.
security for the airplanes.
yeah,
So we got to get going, guys. Come on, you got to go shave and do this and do that. So here we are. All of us look like shit.
you're just worn out. You're hungover. Yeah.
And looking at each other and looking at it, and they go, well, that was fun.
You
Wasn't
get
it?
like some
That's
coffee and
Yeah.
maybe some water. And
Yeah, and one of them says, that was fun, wasn't it? I said, yeah, that's a lot of fun. We need to do it again.
like tonight.
And I thought to myself, not me. I learned wine. So it was at that time also that there was a big fiasco in Korea where the Marines First Division almost got wiped out. And,
Yeah.
they asked for volunteers.
Yeah. And you
I volunteered.
raise your hand.
So I told Captain Jackson,
Okay.
Captain, I need to put in for that. I'm volunteering. And he goes, "Yeah, good man." Of course, he's the one that busted me.
Oh, you got busted from sergeant down to lance corporal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I got into a fight.
Yeah. Shit happens, right? But
anyway.
But he knew you. It was just a shit show. It was like one of those
So,
situations.
Yeah, I go back to Camp Pendleton. I didn't have too much training because I had already had the training.
Right.
But we touched on something. We had, in Camp Pendleton, they had built a little city.
Okay.
With like storefronts. And you did house-to-house combat.
Okay.
And you were using, I didn't even know back then you got hit and you got the thing would break and it would be.
It was almost like a paintball kind of thing.
Like a paintball.
Yeah.
Until the last week, then we started using real ammo, and it was a night exercise. And as you're walking, there would be flares going up, and life-size figure would pop up.
Pop up.
And you shot it.
Yeah.
And it was.
That was your training to go to Korea.
To Korea, yeah.
Right. So when did you ship off to Korea? Do you recall?
I was there for 15 months, so it had to have been in August
of
53.
August 53. So then you were there for 15
Yeah.
months. So when you were there, I mean, I know it's war times and everything else. So as you were there, like what was the experience of just being in Korea? Like what
it was,
I mean, what do you recall of it?
It was something I'll never forget because we went to the DMZ. They had signed the seizure of war.
Right.
I forgot what they call it. But anyway, and so we went to the front lines and started picking up dead bodies because the Koreans would not pick up their
So did you get
people.
there right once the truce, so to speak, was called?
I got there.
Or was it still active war?
It was active war when I got there.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And that was an experience. We got off like the regular Marines on the beach.
Ready to fucking rock and roll.
Got on trucks, and we're going to where the front was.
Yep.
And there was lightning in the sky, and one of the Marines says, "Hey, I hope this thing has a cover. It looks like we're going to be rained on." And the sergeant there says, "No, son, that's cannon fire.
It's like flak in the air and everything else.
Flashes from the cannons."
Yeah.
And I think to myself, "Oh, shit."
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
But
fucking
But
right.
then after the truce was signed,
How long were you there before the truce was signed?
roughly about 45 days.
Okay, so you were there, but did you see action in between?
A little
that?
bit, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Again, I grew up real fast in those 45 days.
So you were 18, 19 at that point? How old were you at that point when you got over there?
I had just turned 19. Yeah.
19. So you're a young man at that point. Yeah.
So we, sad story, we never leave our men behind. No
Absolutely.
one stays behind.
Right.
The Koreans, North Koreans, would not pick up their dead.
Yeah.
And there were dozens of them lined up, or not lined up, lying all over the place. Mm-hmm. And our job, we called the North Koreans, I say we, the United States, and said, "You can come and pick up your dead."
They didn't care.
They didn't care. They said,
whatever.
"Thank you," but they never showed up. So they started decomposing, and
You got to get them. Yeah, you have to
So-
take those bodies out of there. Yeah.
here comes a bulldozer, dug about a 50-yard long trench, about 10 feet deep, and we're picking up bodies and throw them in there.
Yeah.
And it was
That's the reality of,
real sad.
like it is sad.
Yeah, because
There's people attached, there's family members attached, just like on our side, right?
yes,
Just like on
because
our
one
side,
of them
there's-
had a billfold, or kind of a billfold type out of canvas, and I opened it before I threw him in there, and there was a picture of him and apparently his
Family or
wife and a
something.
mother, and I said, "Oh, how sad."
Yeah.
So then threw them in there, threw them out, and then after we put the bodies in there, they would build
cover it
another
up.
trench. There were so many of them; they had to build 3 or 4 trenches, 50 yards long,
Yeah.
10 feet deep. Then after the was half full, they would.
Fill it back. in.
Every time we get ready to, we threw lye all over the bodies.
Yeah.
So, It's interesting. Again, those are experiences that I'll never forget. If I
No,
live to
you
be-
can't. And there's
if I live
certain
100.
scents and
Yeah,
memories
yeah.
and smells.
And it's
everything
also
else.
had a not bad experience, a really weird experience when, it was wintertime,
Okay.
and in Korea gets super cold.
Yeah.
In the summertime, it rains. The monsoon
It's fucking,
season.
yeah, that's where you get like the jungle kind of fever.
yeah.
But it's both of them. It's not just always tropical. It's freezing cold at
Yeah,
the same time, right?
So it was late November, and we're all talking about what are we going to do for Christmas here. 'Cause
Okay.
obviously, we're not going home.
Right.
And we're talking about that, and it was our turn to be on the OP outpost. It's called an OP. We were OP1,
All right.
outpost 1. And an outpost sits about 150, 200 yards in front of the front lines.
Okay.
Because we still continue.
So you have a maintained line, and then you have like outposts.
Yeah.
Kind of like I don't want to call them troop point, but
Our job at the
Post
outpost was to alert the line that they're coming.
okay.
And so about 10 o'clock at night, I remember that, and again, that's another thing I'll never forget because it was scary.
Yeah.
I get a call from the bunker, main bunker, and they said, we had two bunkers on the outpost. One was where we were,
Okay.
and the other bunker was where they had a 50 caliber pointing into the North Korea and the river.
Do you have a 50 cal at yours also? Like, does everybody have a 50 cal, or is it just like that's the big gun?
That was a big gun there.
Okay.
Because it could shoot all the way across the river, and you're looking at about 3/4 of a mile.
Okay.
And so they said we need to check out and see what's going on. They won't answer the radio.
Like, oh shit.
And I was a squad leader.
Okay. How many guys did you have underneath you at that point?
12.
So you had, okay.
So every squad is 13.
All right.
I have
So
a squad
for-
leader and 12 guys.
All right.
Three
So just imagine like
fire teams. They're
okay.
called fire teams. And
All
each
right.
fire team has a BAR guy.
Okay.
But anyway.
That's important to know because some people that are going to watch this right now.
Yeah.
haven't
So,
heard that,
and I said, I'll go. So everybody,
but you're the squad leader.
Yeah.
then. But you're not going to put your guys.
no.
Yeah,
I never asked them to, like the
That's-
old saying says,
So
I
one
never
of the
asked them
things
to
that
do.
you'll see through a lot of the conversations we're going to have over this shit is this guy will not put other people ahead of, like he'll put himself ahead of other people, right?
Never. I would never let.
And that's important.
Yeah, like the old saying says, I would never have him do something I didn't do.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
And that's an important way to live life.
so
I
I
think,
told
is
the guys,
really-
keep alert, keep looking. I'm going out.
Yep.
And it was snowing like crazy. And I got out of the bunker, and as I got and started walking, the machine gun bunker was about 100 yards to my left
Okay.
as you're facing north.
Are you looking through trenches or is it just flat open?
I didn't want to be on a trench. I thought maybe if they're dead, there's gooks out here. We call them gooks.
Yeah, but down in the trenches or whatever.
So I'm walking and I lock and load.
Okay.
And one, lock and load.
You still got that ammo on.
Yeah.
the
And
house,
so
I've seen it.
I'm walking, and as I got further from my bunker, my heart started. I could hear it going boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, and I could swear I could see movements, and I would get ready and then start walking and walking.
It's
and
like your
walking.
eyes are playing tricks on
Yeah.
you, your senses,
And
because
I
you're so
think-
heightened.
My eyes was as big as the headlights.
Yeah.
And then before I got to the bunker, I jumped on the trench very quietly. And it's
Kind of
just,
slid down into it. Kind of
yeah, because I says if they killed the guys, they're still around.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna hopefully they'll be in there in the bunker.
You
So
can
I
get
had grenades on me. As I said, I throw a grenade in there. No, I better come on. And so
You're ready with a rifle.
I went in there, and as I ran into the bunker, I was yelling, "Yeah!" Making a lot of noise, and it's empty. And all this time, I was thinking, I'm going to die here. I'm
this
gonna
is
be
it.
killed.
This is where I'm making my last stand.
I'm going to die. Well,
Where'd they go?
they took
Where the
this.
fuck?
It was
They
a
left
3
a 50 cal unattended,
unattended.
100 meters from or 100 yards from where you're at.
Yeah, and quarter of a mile from the North Koreans.
Right, exactly.
Only
All they have to do
separated
is go like this, right?
Yeah,
Basically.
was the river, the Engine River. I'll never forget that. We went
Engine.
swimming in it too. But anyway, I said, well, I got the radio. I got my radio, and I said, okay, I'm here at the post, but there's nobody here. Let's disregard. We just heard one of the guys got appendicitis or something.
So they emptied the entire post because of that?
Yeah, they took him. They had to carry him. So you're in a post. You have to go down a hill, up a rice paddy, up onto the hill, over to. So one guy couldn't do it. So all three of them picked up the fourth guy.
I understand.
And took the guy. And I said, well, what do you want me to do with here? He said, well, get a couple of your men and have them man that post. So I got to go all the way back and tell the guys I want.
You didn't have like hand radios back then, yeah? It was just everybody's wired in, basically.
No, it had a big walkie-talkie. They were big.
You couldn't call the other post? And
I
have
did.
them? Okay.
So I called and said, all right, I need 3 guys.
Split.
Come over here. What's going on? He says, the post is empty. You need to man it.
Alas.
We have a machine gun here.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they, 3 of them got selected. How they did it, I don't know.
Whatever. It's like rock, paper, scissors kind of shit or something, right?
Yeah, I looked at the machine gun. What a beautiful piece. And it had a scope, too. So I looked in there, and I could see the Koreans. I said, it's nighttime, and I can see the Koreans,
The early night vision kind of shit.
Yeah. They were out there like ants moving around.
Yeah.
I said, stay alert. They're moving out there.
Yeah. They know we're here.
Yeah.
Just like they're looking at you just the same as you're looking at them.
Oh, yeah.
So.
We would shoot the finger at them, and they would shoot the finger back.
Yeah.
At us,
Everybody knows.
That's how close we were.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty intense kind of moment.
So I told the guys, you take care of this gun, and in the morning we'll get relieved.
Mm-hmm.
Sure enough, I went back to the bunker, and I'm lying there thinking, wow, what a scary moment. The scariest of all of my... And I don't get scared very easy.
Right.
And I thought that was the worst. So I knew I was going to die. If the people in the post were dead, then that means they were still around. And
right. They're ready. They're just trying to work their way up to you. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So...
Or go post by post by post at that point. So had the truce already been, ceasefire had already been signed. So theoretically,
we were
like,
you
were in that kind of twilight zone or period.
Exactly. And what
is it really holding or whatever?
Yeah. Right? What we were doing during that time is rebuilding the trench.
Okay.
We used to use sandbags
right.
And
is that part of what they would consider the DMZ now?
Yes.
Okay, so that's part of the demilitarized zone. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's crazy though, huh? When did you come back from Korea?
In the last week of September, and I had 30-day leave.
Okay.
Okay. Now, we came back to Treasure Island, which is in the Bay of San Francisco.
Right. So I had to look this up. There is an island, and it's kind of the same. It's bigger than like Alcatraz.
Yeah.
I never knew there was an island called Treasure Island.
Yeah.
I literally Googled it and pulled it up, and it's no shit, an island in.
Yep.
This
and that was that's where they brought you when you came from overseas.
Right.
The Marines. Anyway. The sailors had
I didn't know about that until I think it was like a few weeks or maybe a month ago. You told me about Treasure Island. I was like, "What are you talking about, man?"
Yeah, Treasure Island.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So we get into this hangar, and they got these guys with all kinds of safety suits on and masks, and they look like outer space. What the hell are they doing? And the guy says, "All right, everybody, get naked."
Delousing you.
So we had to get naked and pass them. They spray you with all kinds of shit again. I said, we just got this done in Korea before we left. Well, you
were on a ship with whatever. Yeah, exactly.
So we did it, and then after that, you walk to your barracks naked, and they issue.
Make sure, is it like powder, that shit they shoot all over you?
But you have to keep it on for at least 30 minutes.
Yeah, so it kills whatever is up in your butthole or whatever.
After everybody's sitting around naked and waiting for the 30 minutes so you can jump in the shower.
Yeah, so you can clean that shit off.
Yeah, and I took a shower and all that, and about 6 of us said, what do you want to do? they tell us we've got 48 hours to go into town, San Francisco.
Go get hammered, basically, right?
No. Here's we voted on where do we want to do first, and almost all 6 of us said hamburgers.
Oh, you just wanted food, like real food, like good food.
We were still, because in Korea we got a ration for beer.
Right. Oh, okay. So you were able to still drink some beers and stuff like that. Okay, cool.
And we used to exchange. Actually,
that's right. I remember you telling me about that. You could exchange like booze for beers.
The Canadians love the beer, so we'd get a case of beer.
Yeah.
For a bottle of Royal Crown.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good trade. Yeah. Case of beer, bottle of Royal.
Yes, but so we went in down and had a big old hamburger. One guy ate 3 of them. I said, "You're going to throw up." He says, "No."
He was hungry.
He was hungry. 3 hamburgers. And
did I do?
Then
2
we walked
like
around looking for girls.
Yeah.
And we'd see a girl, and everybody would just go. And as they went by,
your eyes are
all over. Oh, hi. And of course, most of the girls and people knew that Marines had just come from overseas.
Yeah, they know your schedule, kind of like the ship came in.
And so that was Treasure Island. They asked you fill out a bunch of forms.
Yeah,
most of them want you to re-enlist.
And what'd you decide?
Well, I still had time to go.
Okay.
And so they asked.
So this is like 3 years into your 4-year commitment.
And they asked me if to put down the places I would like to be stationed after I left Treasure Island. So I put down San Diego, El Toro, California,
right,
or back to Seattle because I love Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
I love Whidbey Island.
Yeah, it's definitely.
And well, lo and behold, instead of sending him to one of those places, I ended up in Corpus Christi.
Why did you end up in Corpus Christi? What was there?
Question. Nobody.
Was it a recruiting station that you went to?
No, it was a naval base.
Oh, you went to the naval base in Corpus. Okay.
Yeah, in fact, there was a carrier. When I got there was a carrier in the bay.
Was there, like, a large Marine presence?
No.
Then
28 Marines, and we were security.
Okay. So did you become an MP at that point?
And I was already an MP in Seattle.
Oh, Roger. Okay, even before up at Whidbey.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So that's why you ended up in South Texas again.
Yeah. And there's a story, a sad story in Corpus.
Yeah.
My wife had gone back to Brownsville for Charo days.
Okay.
It was February.
All right.
And I says he had a cousin that was in the Navy that was stationed there.
Okay.
And he had a car. And so he says, Buddy is going to Brownsville. You want to go? I says, go with him because I've got duty. As soon as I get out, I'll either catch the bus or catch rides to Brownsville. So she leaves. Well, the guy that was supposed to relieve me, I was Sergeant Corporal of the Guard.
Okay.
I had... it was 2, 3, 6, 9 guys.
They reported to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would go by in the Jeep and check each post every hour.
Just kind of running your rounds. Yeah. Okay.
Well, 3 o'clock came around, and we all were supposed to get relieved, and the guy the relief didn't show. And 3:30, nothing. And boy, the guys were getting antsy and angry.
Yeah.
What's going on? Where are the guys? Finally, at 4 o'clock, 1 hour late, the van that carries them to the post showed up and he drops off the 3 guys that were supposed to be on that gate, and we jump in there. And I get into an argument with him about being late.
Yeah.
And I could smell alcohol in his breath. And I said, you should be court-martialed for this. Drinking on duty. And he pulls out his 45 and puts it on my forehead. He says, shut up. I'm going to blow your brains out.
What?
So the Marine next to me, nice young man. I forgot his first name. His last name was Ramos.
Holy shit, I've never heard this before.
He says, well, don't kill him. Kill me. I'm not married. He's married. So the guy goes, okay. He blows his brains out.
Holy shit, you never told me this.
And so the guy dropped. and we jumped the guy. It took two of us to wrestle the gun away from him. And we were rushing, told the driver, head to the emergency room. Of course, the guy got hit right in the forehead.
He's done.
With a 45.
Yeah.
And there were brains scattered all over the wall. And
so what the fuck was the dude's deal?
He went nuts. Because we were arguing about him being late. That's what caused it.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so
I mean, that's like the reality of life, just kind of being part of,
and
just kind of like shit happens.
So,
I don't know.
So we get to the emergency room, and I knew he was dead. I mean, brains on him. I had pieces of skull on my shirt and blood on me when it splattered. And the corpsman in that emergency room was my neighbor at the apartments we were in.
Yeah.
And at first he thought it was me. Then I walk in. He said, "Oh, thank God, Albert! I thought it was you on that stretcher." I said,
"It's
no,
fucking this close." And that dude literally took a bullet
for me, for me, and I will never forget that.
No,
sometimes I get emotional about that.
Yeah, holy shit! I mean, you can't say anything other than that. No, it's like
he gave his life for me.
Yeah, because that man. Yeah,
and the words we'll never forget either.
Yeah.
Don't shoot him, shoot me.
He's
married. I'm not.
Yeah.
Well, the guy had been engaged 30 days to get married.
Dude, cheers to that. You remember his name?
Ramos was his last name. I forgot his first name, though.
Ramos is, fucking cheers to that guy, right? Because think about everything that's happened. Like, even this right here would not happen if something like that had. Like, this wouldn't have happened.
And, you know,
that's the trickle-down effect or the butterfly effect or whatever you want to call it.
I've been that kind of a lucky guy with my life.
Right.
On different things.
So we're going to get into that. We've been going for about an hour and 10 minutes. I want to go through a couple of other things.
Okay.
We can always kind of retrospectively go through a lot of those things as well. And I think that's kind of the point of this whole thing is there's a lot of stories that you have. And I want to make sure that, and again, this is going to kind of set the precedent for, I want other people to be able to come and tell their stories as well, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so many people that have stories and that you just don't get a chance that they're kind of unheard, right? In Ramos.
It's history. I call it
history, right? Exactly.
The old saying, yesterday is history, today is a gift, tomorrow's a mystery.
Right. And we'll leave it at that.
Believe that.
We'll absolutely leave it at that, and we'll kind of stop after you got out of the Marine Corps. We'll transition next time to leaving the Marine Corps and getting into, going into college and becoming
working at the same time
and doing a lot of different things and starting to raise a family, really, right?
Yeah.
And there's a whole lot more behind you at this point. So if you don't know this man, he was in customs. He was one of the first DEA agents that was in. It was a DEA agent, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to leave you guys with that. First, I always like to thank military, first responders, frontline folks. Without you guys, none of this is possible. Albert, thank you, dude.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. And with that, we'll catch you guys next time. Cheers.